this press conference with a thank you to John Fox.
But they are who we thought they were, and we let them off the hook.
What are we talking about? Practice? We're talking about practice, man.
Hello? You play to win the game. You don't play to just play it.
Come after me! I'm a man! I'm 40!
You're listening to Rochester, Indiana's #1 podcast, the Tan and J-Man Show, featuring Josh Munt and Tanner Lee. You're listening to episode 93 of the Tan and J-Man Show, sponsored as always by Fraunfelter Dental Clinic, which is a great family-owned dental clinic that offers laser whitening and dentistry, along with braces, implants, your typical teeth cleanings. Go see Dr. Bill or Dr. DJ today for all your dental needs. Like them on Facebook and check out their website, stateoftheartsmile.com. We will be previewing the college football season here in, I'm going to say, about 10 or 15 minutes. But first, going to start with some birdie bogey. So, Tanner is standing up over there without being close to the mic. Kendrys Morales has homers in 7 straight games, which is one off the Major League record. Can you name the player? There are 3 players, but I'm going to say name the last player to homer in 8 consecutive games. It's a tough one tonight.
That's a good question, man.
Thank you.
So, and who is the Birdie Bogey sponsored by?
Birdie Bogey is sponsored by the Noble Gnome, which is a, Tanner has the whole spiel written down somewhere. It is a produce. They grow their own, like, cabbage and lettuce and all sorts of stuff.
It's a locally organic, fresh market. They are located usually every weekend at the Kosciuszko County Farmers Markets, owned by my cousin Bryce Romine and his wife Katie Romine. They grow everything from corn, carrots, to some interesting thing like radishes, especially like melon radishes, and a whole bunch of other stuff. So I don't know about you, but I like to know where my produce comes from. So
what about beets?
I still haven't asked him about beets. So.
I need to ask about beets.
But
the next Dwight Schrute.
Why don't you go ahead while I ponder this question, and I'll say it. We'll do it before the football starts. Why don't you go ahead, since we're cutting a little short time, and do your Cubs report.
So, yeah, they had a really good week. They won 5 of their 6 games. They entered this 9-game stretch against really bad opponents, starting with 2 games in Detroit and then had a 4-game series over the weekend against the Reds. Now they have 3 at home against the Mets starting tonight on Monday night. They did what they had to do, winning 5 of 6. The Reds are a really bad ball club. The Cubs swept them over the weekend in a 4-game series. But big news on, I think it was Wednesday, the Cubs made a trade for Daniel Murphy from the Washington Nationals. And I've had people ask me, how can they make trades here in August, because the trade deadline was July 31st. Well, there's a thing called revocable waivers where teams can place players on revocable waivers, and they have to go through the waiver wire, which is from worst record to best record in baseball. If they pass through without anyone claiming that player, they can trade with anyone. Now, if somebody does claim him, they have 48 hours to work out a deal, or they can pull him off waivers and keep him for the rest of the season. Somehow, some way, Daniel Murphy fell to the Chicago Cubs. It's really mind-blowing to me. For one, they were an offense that was really, really struggling. They, coming into Wednesday, had scored 5 runs in their past 5 games, and they were all on solo homers. They were the first team ever to have 5 straight games where they scored 1 run, and they all 5 of their runs came on solo homers. Daniel Murphy has one of the best, if not the best, pure hit tool in all of baseball, and the Cubs don't have a lot of guys where you can just kind of think, man, this guy really good hitter, a guy maybe like Rizzo and Zobrist are really the two that kind of pop into your mind. But they really needed a guy like Daniel Murphy who'll fit in really, really well. His contact rate is top 5 in baseball. He doesn't walk a whole lot, but he has a very rare ability to find the barrel almost every single plate appearance. Now, how in the world did he fall to the Cubs? Cubs were 26th in the waiver order. I don't know why a team like the Cardinals or Brewers didn't just claim him just to block him from getting to the Cubs. It just kind of blows my mind how he was still there for them to claim him. They really, really needed him. And look who's about back. The Iowa Cubs have added one of the best prospects in all of baseball tonight, Chris Bryant, starting a rehab assignment down in Iowa. Sounds like he could be back as soon as this weekend, and that will just lengthen the lineup completely. Their offensive struggles really coincided with Chris Bryant hurting himself for the second time and going on the disabled list. And then you add a Daniel Murphy to that mix, who's leading off right now, but when KB comes back, I anticipate Murphy to hit around 4th or 5th after all of the guys that get on base a ton, and he can have a lot of RBI opportunities. So playing really good baseball. Now this week against the Mets is not going to be easy, and before people make fun of me, they have to face two of the best right-handed pitchers in all of baseball starting tonight. They face Noah Syndergaard, and tomorrow Jacob deGrom, who's probably the odds-on favorite to win the Cy Young right now. So it's going to be really, really tough. They have to find a way to grind out at least one win here the next 2 days, and then kind of take your shot to win the series on Wednesday. John Lester's going tonight. He's been really, really good his last 2 times out. Wind is blowing out about 20 miles an hour, which isn't great for John because he gives up a lot of fly balls. Mets offense is not good, but they have been putting up some runs here the past week or two. Then you have Cole Hamels going tomorrow, and he's been an absolute godsend. I've kind of talked about it here on the pod, of course. I made fun of Tanner because he didn't want him, and then I didn't want him when the Cubs traded for him. But he's been really good through a complete game against the Reds, and he's just been an absolute godsend. And they're pitching for the first time all year. Feels like they're pitching really, really well. They have an ERA under 1.5 as a starting staff over the last 10 games. So just kind of hope they can keep it rolling because Cardinals and Brewers aren't going away. Cardinals are 4 back, and Brewers are 4.5 back.
I don't have too much to add to the MLB. Yankees were pretty good this past week, but unfortunately they did slip up once. So that means your book from last week was wrong.
J-Man's getting wilder.
And that means J-Man is getting wildered.
Did they only lose once all
I think they only lost once, I think. That's just off the top of my head without looking up anything.
That was a tough bucket to get right, but it would have been nice if they showed a little bit better effort.
Rockies didn't help out the Cubs too much.
We're still talking about them.
Yeah. They helped them out once, but
yeah,
one of 3. It was luckily they had an 8th inning after Matt Holliday tied the game up with a home run, which was pretty cool to see.
That was a really cool moment. I don't know how the Rockies have as good of a record as they do because their run differential suggests they should be right around 500, maybe even a little bit below. The Dodgers are plus 100. Or not 100. It was like plus 75 on the Rockies in the run differential for the season. Yet the Rockies are, 2.5 games up on them maybe.
Yeah, and big week for them this week. They are at LA Angels and then at the Padres. Got to take advantage.
Yep, have to.
We're going through this quick because we only got 4 minutes until we start our college football preview edition. You got any notes on the Dolphins?
No, but I wanted to go back to the Cubs.
Okay.
There was a report here within the last hour that the Cubs could, by the end of next year, next baseball season, will have their own television network because their partnership ends with NBC Chicago, ABC7, and WGN at the end of next year. But it looks like they're making their way towards having their own television network.
So what you're telling me is the J-Man might need only one channel on his TV.
J-Man would only need one channel, yes. And I'm going to have to figure out which company is going to pick it up.
Oh, I can't. If that happens, I can guarantee you RTC is going to cover it. Joe McCarter, president's a big Cub fan, so I can't see him not getting it.
But it's kind of been a nightmare with the Dodgers because they're having to charge so much since they got theirs. So who knows? Cubs seem like an organization that would make things easy on their fans. I mean, spend a ton of money on a whole rebuild of pretty much the stadium almost, and so they kind of want to make it as fan-friendly as possible.
You got anything else you want to add real quick?
I have nothing. I'm looking forward to talking some college football, though.
Broncos won. You can check out the Orange Weekly postgame podcast on Facebook or Twitter. It got up on SoundCloud, actually. Got uploaded yesterday. I was on it like I am every week after the games, and my cousin Nathaniel Lee joined me to help me out. Check that out, so I'm not going to hit on it anymore. Congratulations to the Rochester Zebras. Nice 12-7 win over Knox in the first matchup between the two in many, many years. The Zebras are 2-0 now, and I think Coach Hooker's off to a 9-3 start in his career, which has got to be one of the better winning percentages to start a career in Rochester history. They host the Peru Tigers this week. Conference matchup actually counts as a conference game, so good luck to them. And lastly, a little golf. Bryson DeChambeau won his second tournament of the year, third of his short career since he's only 24. Probably locked up a captain's pick. And this week's the second week of the FedEx Cup playoffs. Ricky Fowler is sitting out again, resting his oblique, trying to get it rested up for the hopefully next week's playoff event and, more importantly, the Ryder Cup. So with that said, J-Man, let's get Birdie Bogey out of the way and then let's talk some college football.
Kendrys Morales for the Blue Jays has homered in 7 consecutive games, which is one off the Major League record. Who was the last player to hit a homer in 8 straight games?
This happened recently?
Within our lifetime.
I thought it was like last year.
No.
Oh, gosh.
8 straight.
Yeah, 8 straight. I'm going to guess Barry Bonds.
It's a good guess. Same era. Ken Griffey Jr.
Okay, I was thinking Sosa or Bonds. So, okay. I wasn't too far off.
Yes, sir.
All right, man. Let's talk some college football.
Let's do it.
Let's get this thing going. And for everybody that's listening, stay tuned because we're going Facebook Live here in a minute. But, of course, you listen to the podcast, so you don't care about that.
Welcome to the Tan and J-Man Show, college football preview show. We love college football, and we're going to bring you some hard-hitting college football action, mainly the Big Ten, and then we'll cover like Notre Dame and maybe the national landscape. My favorite college football tradition on a Saturday is to root against Notre Dame. Isn't that one of your favorites as well?
Oh, definitely one of my favorites. Rooting against Notre Dame and the Hoosiers. It's always fun.
Who would you root for in a matchup of Notre Dame and Indiana?
Notre Dame.
You would?
I would.
Interesting.
Not by much. I think it's only happened like one time in the late 80s.
Really?
Yeah.
What about, let's see, who else? You don't like Michigan.
No, and I don't like Ohio State.
Yeah, so that's a tough
Especially
one.
as of the events as of late.
Yeah.
Yeah, but no, honestly, I root for Michigan over 2 teams, and they play one of them this weekend.
Notre Dame and who else? Indiana?
Yes.
All right.
Yeah, I would still barely root for Ohio State over Michigan. I don't know. I don't like them either.
I pretty much hate every team in college football right now, especially the Big Ten.
Yeah.
Pretty unlikable. You want to start off with your Purdue season
Oh, goodness.
preview.
Yeah, so I haven't been this pumped for a college football season in general, especially a Purdue season. And it's going back to like probably 2004, I think, when Kyle Orton was coming into his senior year. How can this team manage the expectations? They kind of shocked everybody last year. I remember doing this show last year. I predicted them to go 3-9. They went 6-6 during the regular season to beat Arizona in a very exciting Foster Farms Bowl to finish 7-6, which was, I think, light years ahead of what all Purdue fans and college football fans thought Jeff Brom could do in his first year down in West Lafayette. They lost a lot on defense. That's kind of the concern I have. They're only returning 3 starters on defense, but they're returning 8 starters on offense, including and some newcomers they've added. They have a lot of depth on offense. The question is, who's going to start quarterback Thursday night? And I'm running a poll right now on our Twitter account and Facebook page who you think will start Thursday. Junior Elijah Sindelar coming off an ACL injury, which he played phenomenal on a torn ACL.
J-Man has a pretty good
Iowa,
idea who's going to start.
Indiana, and Arizona. And David Blau, senior, coming off a broken ankle. Who do you think it is, J-Man?
I think Elijah Sindelar is light years ahead of David Blau. I just think he has more arm talent and seems like a really good fit for the offense. I think David Blau's more of kind of like a leader. He'll grind you out. He's kind of really tough, but I think Sindelar can absolutely sling it.
No, I think Sindelar's got the bigger arm. I think he fits the offense better. I think he will be starting as well. And it probably doesn't even matter who starts, to be honest. It's one of those things. There's probably most likely still going to play two quarterbacks. Who's to say we won't see either of them on the field the first snap? It might be some kind of wildcat formation with Jared Sparks, who used to play quarterback. Who's to say we won't see both of them on the field at once? Could one of them line up behind center, the other one out in the wide receiver? Some kind of trickery.
Gonna make a prediction. One's gonna line up in the shotgun. The other quarterback's gonna line up right next to him.
Jeff Brum
Stuff's
said
gonna
he wants
happen.
to run about 50 trick plays this year, so that's about an average of a little over 3 to 4 a game.
Yeah, that's quite a bit.
That's a little over 4 a game, yeah. So, yeah, we'll see. It should be exciting.
Riverboat Brom.
I'm really looking forward to it. And the team knows who's starting, but they've obviously been told to keep it behind closed doors. But Brom might have slipped, or he might just be a great manipulator. He said to the reporter today, it's important to get Elijah's rhythm going early. So I don't know, did he slip on accident, or is he going to start Blau and he's throwing a curveball towards Northwestern, the game plan for Sindelar? I mean, I don't know. Maybe I'm looking way too much into this. I'm probably looking way too much into this.
It's easy to do at this stage.
Yeah, I think so. But, yeah, we'll see. But anyways, let's get to the overall preview for Purdue. Very tough schedule this year. It's ranked by many the second hardest schedule in the nation behind UCLA. 10 of the 12 teams they face did not make a bowl, or did make a bowl last year. The only two who didn't were Eastern Michigan and Indiana, who Indiana was only one game away from making a bowl. Of course, Purdue knocked them off to win the Old Oaken Bucket last year. One thing right before I get to my prediction on their record, if Elijah Sindelar starts, he'll be the first Purdue quarterback to start the opening game of back-to-back years since Curtis Painter in 2008.
That's a decade ago.
Joey Elliott started in 2009, Robert Marvin in 2010, Caleb Turbush in 2011, Robert Marvin in 2012, thanks to Caleb Turbush being academically ineligible for a game. Rob Henry 2013, Danny Etling 2014, Austin Appleby 2015, David Blau 2016, and Elijah Sindelar 2017 last year against Louisville. With that said, Purdue's coming off, like I said, 6-6 year, which losses included Louisville down in Indianapolis, Michigan at home, at Wisconsin, at Rutgers, which is still a head scratcher, Nebraska at home.
Didn't they play there last year?
These were the losses last year.
Oh,
Nebraska at home, and then at Northwestern. And then they won late games against Iowa and Indiana to get to the Foster Farm Bowl, which they beat Arizona. I'm probably going for the ceiling here with my prediction.
9-3, that's my guess.
8-4.
8-4, that's pretty lofty prediction.
And winning 8 games this year, they're probably going to have to fight off a lot of people coming after Jeff Brom again, which I don't know what jobs will be open. I do have them losing at Nebraska, to Ohio State at home, at Michigan State, and to Wisconsin at home.
That's they lost quite a bit on defense.
I know it. I'm putting a lot of trust and faith in Nick Holt, defense coordinator.
Nick Holt. So. Preview their game against Northwestern on Thursday night.
Yeah, well, not only does Purdue have quarterback questions, Northwestern coming off a really good year last year, in which they went 9-3 last year. Losses at Duke, which was a head scratcher, at Wisconsin and Penn State, and they won the Music City Bowl over Kentucky. But during that game, their quarterback Clayton Thorson tore his ACL. So it sounds like he's going to make the start Thursday. I'd be surprised if he didn't.
What time of year did he tear his ACL?
It was in the bowl game.
It was in the bowl game. Man, that's a quick turnaround.
Yeah, in the Music City Bowl in the first half against Kentucky. But I think it's going to be a close game. Northwestern is a 3-point favorite right now, but I am picking the Boilers 30-24.
Northwestern's a 3-point favorite?
Purdue's a 3-point favorite.
I was going to say, I thought.
I worded that wrong.
Yeah.
I am picking the Boilers 30-24.
I think it'll be a really close game. I think if this game was played in maybe November, Northwestern would win, but I think since it's at home,
Crowd should be ramped up.
Crowd should be pretty good. Have some hype, a little bit of hype, mainly from Purdue fans. Coming into the season, I think they'll play really well.
I had a Northwestern fan talking some smack to me last night on Twitter.
31-20 is the J-Man's prediction.
I am predicting Northwestern also to go 8-4 this year, losing at Purdue, to Michigan at home, at Michigan State, and to Notre Dame at home.
Purdue has 4 home games to start the year, as you said. I think they win all 4 of them. I'm not a big believer. Not a big believer in Missouri. I will never believe in Boston
Jeff
College.
Luck's best quarterback, according to Todd McShay.
The game at Nebraska, it's not going to be easy, but they're starting a true freshman quarterback. It was just
Adrian Gonzalez. Martinez, I think.
I think it's Martinez.
Adrian Martinez. First true freshman quarterback to start in Nebraska history.
Look out for that game right after the off week.
Is that when they play
at Champaign?
Hey, Purdue's got the best from the last 2 years. That doesn't happen very often. It's usually a pretty close rivalry.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is. But I don't know. I'm just excited, man. Thursday can't come soon enough. 8 o'clock, ESPN prime time. Maybe Rondell Moore. We'll take one to the house to start the year off on the kick return. That'd be pretty fun.
1 catch for 3 yards.
He probably will. I'm just really hoping he can be something like Dorian Bryant was for Purdue. For some diehard Purdue fans probably remember Dorian.
I remember the name.
Very underrated wide receiver who I don't think gets enough credit when people talk about good players at Purdue. But speak on your Illini a little bit.
The Illini, my Illini. He acts like I still care about him. They're not going to be very good again. They will be a year older. Last year, they had 87 starts from true freshmen. That's just incredible. And you're not going to win Big Ten games doing that, and they didn't. They did not win one. I think they only won 2 the year before. So Lovey's overall record is 5-19 as a head coach of the Fighting Illini. He really decided to gut the whole roster and start over, which is really what needed to happen. His first 2 recruiting classes have been really well received. And last year, obviously, they played a ton of true freshmen, some really good players out of that class. Ricky Smalling, wide receiver, is looking like a future NFL player.
Smalls.
You're killing me, Smalling. He led the team in catches, yards. I'm not sure about touchdowns. He was really good. He's just a solid route runner, fast, good hands, really athletic. He was a 4-star guy, so it's not like he's kind of come out of nowhere. Mikey Dudek.
Dude's been there 10 years.
He's torn his ACL twice. I think both of them separate ACLs. He had a phenomenal freshman year back in 1996. He has great hands, great route runner. Not a good fit for, I don't even remember their old offensive coordinator system. And they had the worst quarterback room maybe in Division I last year, with Chase Crouch, who's now out of football. Jeff George Jr. played really bad. Transferred to Michigan as a walk-on and then decided to transfer to, did you say Pittsburgh?
Yes.
So he's gone.
Kind of like his dad. He kind of quits pretty easily.
Yeah. They hired, I forget his name now. He's a big white guy. To be Rod Smith to be their offensive coordinator. He was at Arizona last year with Rich Rod, Khalil Tate. He brings a quick-hitting, fast, up-tempo offense. They do a lot of quick hitters, so Mikey Dudek should be a really good fit for that. Their quarterback is a grad transfer from Virginia Tech, A.J. Bush. He was just named starter today, and you can see that.
I thought it was going to be Cam Thomas.
Cam Thomas is probably third or fourth guy right now. He started last year as a true freshman at Purdue. He started that game, started a few others, and he doesn't throw well, which you kind of need to do when you're a quarterback. He's a really good runner, maybe even the fastest guy on the team. He just doesn't throw well. He's probably third in the pecking order right now, behind obviously A.J. Bush and true freshman Matt Robinson, which was handpicked by Rod Smith, and wouldn't be surprised if he saw the field. Now, they have a new redshirt rule where players can play in up to 4 games, no matter what time of the year. It used to be, I think, the first 3 games, and you had to do it
you're right.
just the first 3.
Yes.
So you'll see a lot of true freshmen probably play towards the end of the year that will redshirt anyway, just to get them a little bit of experience. I kind of like that rule. So I wouldn't be surprised to see if Illinois' freshman quarterback Matt Robinson plays a little bit, especially since they'll probably be out of bowl contention then.
Coming off a 2-10 year in which they beat Ball State and Western Kentucky, start off 2-0,
Yeah, first
lost
games.
10 consecutive games.
Yeah.
What's your prediction this year?
Well, they have a fairly favorable schedule.
I agree.
Their first 3 non-con games. You guys play 4 non-conference games, don't you?
Yes.
No,
3 because the first game
first games
conference
aren't
game.
played.
It's weird.
Yeah. They have Kent State at home on Saturday, and they have Western Illinois at home, and then South Florida at Soldier Field. So it's conceivable they could win those first 3. They kind of need to. Then they host Penn State, who's likely going to be really good. But they go to Rutgers, have Purdue at home. They're going to get blown out at Wisconsin. They go to Maryland, have Minnesota at home, at Nebraska, Iowa at home, at Northwestern. You know, their schedule kind of sets up for them to maybe win 4 or 5 games this year. I think they'll win the first 2, should win the first 2. That South Florida game's kind of a toss-up. I know very little about them. Have a chance at Rutgers, have a chance at home against Purdue, have a chance at Maryland, have a chance at home against Minnesota. Probably not going to win at Nebraska, Iowa at home, or at Northwestern. My prediction, they go 4-8. They need to show some improvement heading into next year. Last year, I kind of said this starts the first preseason season. It's kind of a 24-game preseason, and this is the final 12. They need to show some improvement and make a bowl. I think the defense could be really good. They'll probably start 9 sophomores, which sets up really well for 2019 because they actually played fairly well on defense last year, being really young. Just they kind of wore down in the second half, and because the offense was so bad. But
I have them going 4-8. Beating Kent State, Western Illinois, winning at Rutgers, and beating Minnesota.
that's fair.
I almost had them winning at Maryland to make them 5-7, but I just couldn't pull the trigger.
It'll be an interesting, not from an outsider's perspective, but as an Illinois fan, it'll be kind of interesting to see their progression because they need to show some pretty quickly.
Yeah, I just want to thank everybody that's been watching so far. If you have any questions, please send them in. It really helps us interact with you and helps the show go that much better. So if you got any questions come to mind, just send them our way and we'll do our best to answer those. So let's hit on one more Big Ten team before we talk about the Irish, because I know got a couple Irish fans watching right now, and that would be the Indiana Hoosiers, coming off their first year of the Tom Allen era, 5-7 record last year. They had losses to Ohio State, at Penn State, Michigan at home in overtime, at Michigan State, at Maryland, Wisconsin, and at Purdue. Interesting few storylines. Running back Morgan Ellison was suspended last week indefinitely. No timetable on his return. Peyton Ramsey was named quarterback. Beat out Arizona transfer Brandon Dawkins, who announced today he's leaving the program.
Speaking of Brandon Dawkins, he played at Arizona, was the starter earlier in the season last year, and of course Khalil Tate took over, and he could be a Heisman hopeful. Illinois hired Arizona's offensive coordinator, and he went out and got a grad transfer quarterback instead of signing on the guy he knew pretty well in Brandon Dawkins. They even brought him in for a visit, and Rod Smith said no. So kind of tells you what you need to know about Brandon.
Yeah, and the interesting thing is now IU's real high on freshman quarterback Mike Penix. They wanted to redshirt him. Now what do they do?
Well,
with that new redshirt rule,
with
he
the
can
new
play up to
rule,
4 games.
yeah.
But you'd like to have your backup ready to go, I guess.
Well,
I guess you can play in the redshirt him and hope
he
Ramsey doesn't get hurt.
Yeah. So that's what a lot of schools I think will do.
IU's got a very favorable schedule early on in the non-con. I believe I think the hardest game is Virginia at home. They do go at FIU, who that's pretty fitting, isn't it? The initials they're going to play FIU. Week 1.
Didn't even think about that.
They're a 10-point favorite.
Purdue should actually play FIU. That's
Yeah, they
go
should.
hand in hand.
They're a 10-point favorite over the Butch Davis's Florida International. I believe.
Butch Davis
I
is
think they're
there.
called Panthers. Yeah, he's been in the last couple of years.
They are the Panthers.
I would take Florida International on a 10-point spread.
I
That's a
use
tough.
10-point
Yes,
favorites.
for a Power 5 program to go play a school
That's
like that,
ballsy.
a true road game, ballsy.
I think IU wins, but I don't think they cover that 10-point.
I actually do have Indiana being bowl eligible this year. It's
You
6
do?
and 6. I have them losing. Let's see here. Losing at Michigan State at home, at Ohio State, Iowa at home, Penn State at home, at Michigan, and to Purdue at home.
I think those 2 home games will decide their fates against Maryland and Purdue 2 of the last 3 weeks, so they're probably not going to win in Michigan. I think, you know, it seems like the past few years they've played Purdue at like 5 and 6, and if they win, they're in, but if they don't,
They always play Michigan and Ohio State pretty tough, especially Michigan.
they're at Ohio State.
And they're at Michigan.
And they're at Michigan. But
I mean-
they host Penn State.
Yeah.
They host Michigan State.
Host
they
Iowa.
host Iowa, which this seems like they always play them tough, too.
Yeah, it's true.
Go to Minnesota.
That's winnable.
It's definitely winnable. I think they go right around that 5 and 7, 6 and 6,
Yeah.
kind of where they're kind of been stuck.
I
I'd feel
think
for that right
I
now,
think
but
Allen's safe for next year, no matter what
I do too.
happens. But IU has a track record not giving coaches a long shelf life for whatever reason. We got a question. First question
Yeah.
from your parents.
yeah.
What are our opinions about the new allegations regarding Urban Meyer deleting some text messages?
Some hard hitting questions. I was kind of hoping not to talk about it.
You're away from this subject. I thought it would come up eventually. That's
yeah.
all right. We'll talk about it.
So, in my opinion, I think Urban Meyer should have been fired.
We knew what was going to happen.
Yeah.
We knew he probably should have been. We knew he's going to probably get suspended. Suspended 3 games. Oregon State, Rutgers. They play Rutgers week 2, and TCU, which that one's in Arlington, Texas. That could be an interesting one.
Yeah, it's just a messed up situation.
So lose for everybody involved. Losing situation for everybody
Exactly.
involved.
As for Urban deleting text messages, he clearly knew something. Either I think it's black and white. Either he didn't know anything, shouldn't have been suspended at all, or he knew, he knew something and should have been fired. There's no reason.
No, I agree.
And
100%.
the fact that he was allowed to stay on just pretty much tells you he won too much, where we don't care if he's a terrible human being, we're just going to keep him on. That's kind of how I viewed Ohio State. I knew Ohio State would do something like that. And I did see a tweet from Mark Titus, who played basketball at
The
Ohio State University, and his mom is a Rochester High School graduate.
She is.
He said on the tweeter, Thad Matta was so much more sorry for not making the NCAA tournament than Urban Meyer is for this whole situation that's going on. Urban's had problems at Florida. Now he's having problems at Ohio State. He's just a scummy human being.
Yeah, he tries to call himself like the saint of college football. He's
He's
obviously
not.
far from it.
He's the worst.
Got a little blood on his hands there, Urban.
He is my least favorite coach in college football. Has been for some time. I mean, it's hard
Actually, you know,
to dislike a guy more than Harbaugh, but
I didn't mind him until this happened, to be honest. I really didn't. I didn't mind him at Florida, even though I didn't think he handled a lot of those things well. I didn't have a problem with him until this came out. Now I can't stand him.
can't stand
I
him.
haven't been able to stand Harbaugh for years.
Did
but-
you see what Zach Smith's lawyer
Yes,
said about the
I
situation?
don't even want to comment on it.
Yeah, I'm just gonna say it because it really just pisses me off. He said something like, Zach married somebody he shouldn't have married, and now it's putting Ohio State in this predicament, and we're sorry. That just
So,
makes
because he
me
marries somebody shouldn't have given
so
you reason to beat the crap out of a woman?
freaking angry.
Really?
He deserves jail time.
Oh, big time.
Big time
Big
jail
time.
time.
But
I love jail.
going back to Ohio State, they lost a lot, but they always
do.
bring some in. Dwayne Haskins is their quarterback. He beat out Tate Martell for the quarterback position. J.K. Dobbins is their running back. Nick Bosa is the leader of the defense. Joey Bosa's little brother.
They say Nick's even better.
I know, it's scary. They went 10-2 last year, lost at home to Baker Mayfield. You might remember Baker planted the OU flag in the middle
Legendary.
of the O. Then they lost at Iowa. Really, that cost them a playoff spot because they ended up winning the Big Ten.
Ohio State fans were so much more pissed off at Baker planting the flag out there than they are at Urban Meyer right now, which is sickening.
Easily. They beat USC in the Cotton Bowl. My prediction, I unfortunately still think they are the best team in the conference. I think they go 11-1, losing at Michigan State.
Their non-con is easy. At TCU isn't a cakewalk, but they should be able to beat them. And they play Tulane, which makes no sense. Yeah, their schedule is ridiculously easy. They do have to go to University Park, Pennsylvania, and play at Penn State. Trace McSorley's back. For some reason, I didn't know that until like a few days ago. It seems like he's been there forever as well. They get to host Michigan. They do have to go to East Lansing, and I think Michigan State will be really, really.
That was my predicted loss for them, was at East Lansing.
I think that might be my only loss for them as well, and they will win the Big Ten West and play in Indianapolis for
Big Ten East.
East, yes. All I have to do is look at a map and should know that right is east.
He's flustered himself up.
I screwed myself up.
But I will talk about my predicted winner. We'll just go through the Big Ten real quick, and then we'll hit on Notre Dame, and then we'll some national stuff and answer questions as they come in. I am predicting Wisconsin to win the West. They went undefeated last year besides the Big Ten championship game in which they lost to Ohio State. Alex Hornibrook, who feels like he's been there a decade, he's back, cornerback. Jonathan Taylor got 6th or 7th in the Heisman race last year. He's a phenomenal sophomore running back. He's back. Leading wide receiver Quintez Cephas, I believe is how you pronounce the last name. I'm really not sure. He is suspended for the first few games. That's a big hit to the Badgers. They beat Miami last year in the Orange Bowl. I'm predicting a 10-2 record out of the Badgers. I have them losing at Michigan and at Penn State.
I have Wisconsin running the table, winning the Big Ten West, and winning the Big Ten Championship and heading towards the playoff. I think Jonathan Taylor finishes in the top 3 in Heisman voting, ran for over 2,000 yards last year. Really, really good. Anthony Hornibrook threw a ton of interceptions last year, but he's a junior now, and I think if he can just be a game manager, that running back and offensive line and defense will take care of things, and they have a fairly easy schedule. Besides playing at Penn State and at Michigan.
I just think they trip up on those two.
It's not going to be easy, but I think they're good enough that they can get past them.
Michigan State, really good team. They returned Ryan Lurecki. LJ Scott's the running back. They went 9-3 last year with losses to Notre Dame, at Northwestern, triple overtime at Ohio State. They beat Washington State in the Holiday Bowl. I predicted them to go 10-2. The East.
I'm changing my prediction on Ohio State. I think Michigan State wins the Big Ten East
and loses
to Wisconsin championship game. They're non-conference. They have Utah State at home. They go to Tempe, Arizona, play at Arizona State, the Herman Edwards boys. Then they have Central Michigan at home. Their schedule is always usually fairly easy in the non-conference. Start at Indiana. That's not going to be easy. But you look at their schedule. They play Ohio State at home, Michigan at home. They do have to go to Nebraska, which will be
my upset right there. I have Nebraska beating them.
Upset alert.
Scott Frost era.
They do have to go to Penn State.
I got that as a loss as well.
But I think Michigan State goes 11-1, but they beat Ohio State and own that tiebreaker over them.
Penn State, I have them going 10-2.
The East is loaded.
It's loaded. It's the best. It's the best division in college football. I don't care what the SEC fans have to say. The Big Ten East is the best division in college football.
What are your thoughts of maybe the Big Ten switching it up a little bit?
No.
And kind of, for our sake, we want to.
I like the West. I don't know. They might have to one of these days.
Just for competitive
balance.
The West
isn't bad by any means. It's just not on the level, even close to the level that the East is.
Yeah.
But it's like the SEC East and West.
Yeah.
One of them's a lot stronger than the other one.
One of them had Missouri in back-to-back SEC championship games.
But Penn State returns Trace McSorley. They did lose Saquon Barkley, who was replaced by Miles Sanders. They went 10-2 last year with losses at Ohio State and at Michigan State. Won the Fiesta Bowl over Washington. I have them going 10-2, losing at home to Ohio State and losing up in the Big House at Michigan.
Play Appalachian State. Go to Pittsburgh. They always play Pittsburgh, and they face Kent State. This is a pretty favorable schedule. I have them losing at home to Ohio State and Michigan State and at Michigan. And to Wisconsin at home. So I think they go somewhere around 8-4. They could go 9-3, though.
Michigan went 8-4 and then a bowl loss. The only Big Ten team to lose in the bowl. They choked in the Outback Bowl against South Carolina. What's Harbaugh got to do to keep his job?
I think he has to win at least 9 games. But even if they go 9-3, people will be barking.
Well, I have them going 9-3, but losing to 3 of their rivals. I have them losing this weekend at Notre Dame, have them losing in East Lansing, and in Columbus.
I have them going 8-4.
What game do you have them winning that I don't?
I have them losing at Notre Dame, Wisconsin at home.
Okay, that's the one.
At Michigan State and Ohio State at home. And watch out for Northwestern to get them. So they could go 7-5. If they go 8-4 or less, he might.
Shea Patterson, new quarterback in town, didn't have to sit out, transfer from Ole Miss.
What was the reason?
It was I'm really not sure. It's something with the Ole Miss scandal, I think. Hugh Freeze and the cheating and all that. But new quarterback, Brandon Peters is the backup. Little McCaffrey's the third string. If I'm him, I'm getting out. He's never going to play.
Man.
He's never going to play. But yeah, it would not break my heart to see Harbaugh fail there. I am not a Jim Harbaugh fan by any means. Let's go Iowa. They went 7-5 last year. I have them going 6-6 this year.
You don't think they're going to be very good?
I don't. They do return Nate Staley, who's been there for years.
Yeah, Nathan Stanley has been mentioned as a potential first-round quarterback heading into the year. I think they'll win their first 3 non-conference games. I think they win at Minnesota, at Indiana, beat Maryland, beat Illinois, and probably beat Nebraska. I have them going 8-4.
Oh, wow.
Kirk Ferentz is a really good, pretty good coach. I'm not going to say really good. I know a lot of people don't like him. And it seems like every year he comes in on the hot seat, they go like 10-2, and every year they're expected to do well. They go like 6-6, and he just stays there forever.
I have them losing to Wisconsin at home, at Penn State, at Purdue, Northwestern home, and Nebraska at home. I have them finishing the season terrible. I don't know. I thought they finished bad last year. So
they could win out their last 4.
They are coming off a Pinstripe Bowl win over Boston College. So. Nebraska, the Scott Frost era begins. He comes to Nebraska, his alma mater, from a UCF team he took to an undefeated season last year. Called themselves the national champs, even though they were not. How do you think Scott Frost fares in his first season?
I think he has a great first year.
Great, huh?
Yeah, his non-conference schedule sets up very favorably. They have
coming off a 4-8 year last year.
3 home games: Akron, Colorado, and Troy.
Oh, they'll run over those.
I think they win 4 of their first 5. I think they win in Lincoln against Purdue. I
agree, unfortunately.
I think they lose at Michigan. They'll lose at Wisconsin. I think they lose at Northwestern.
I got all 3 of those as well.
But I think they beat Minnesota and Illinois.
Yep.
So that would make it, 6-6? So obviously I don't think they're going to be
I have them going
phenomenal.
7-5 with losses at Michigan, at Wisconsin, at Northwestern, at Ohio State, and Michigan State at home.
You think they win in Kinnick the day after Thanksgiving?
Yep. I told you. I think Iowa folds at the end of this year. I'm just not believing. I think Ferentz' time is about done.
My uncle, Travis Youngin, asked a question. Every year Iowa beats a team they shouldn't. Who is it this year?
Well, I just said I was going 6-6, so.
So he clearly.
Let me look up here who I have. I don't have Iowa beating anybody they're not supposed to beat, unfortunately. So.
The only one I can really think of.
Maybe Wisconsin at home.
Maybe.
But that's a stretch.
I don't see them beating them. But, dude.
At Penn State?
Kinnick, it's the TV and time is to be announced. It's going to be a Saturday night game because Wisconsin's going to be in the top 4. Saturday night at Kinnick Stadium, almost impossible to win.
That is true. That is true.
Penn State did it last year. Yeah, last-second touchdown.
That is true.
Last time expired. But then we saw Ohio State go in there and just get absolutely whooped.
True. So, but then a team like Purdue went in there and ran over Iowa.
Exactly.
So it just depends what Iowa team you're going to get.
They finished the season kind of poorly last year, and I don't know if it'll carry over or not. But
3 more Big Ten teams hit on, then we'll hit on the Irish. Then we'll go over some national stuff, and we'll predict the matchups for this weekend. Maryland, they're in a saga with DJ Durkin. I think he needs to be fired.
He should be fired.
They went 5-7 last year. I see him going 4-8 this year. Only wins at Bowling Green, Temple, Rutgers, and Illinois. And Illinois wins a toss-up.
2-10.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah, Kasim Hill is a good quarterback if he can stay healthy, and Ty Johnson's a good running back. But
they might not win at Bowling Green week 2.
They did win at Texas last year, so you got to think Texas is going to want revenge early on in the season. Minnesota, year 2 of the boat rower. TJ Fleck.
Rowing that boat.
He's starting to walk on quarterback.
Yeah, true freshman walk-on
Zach
quarterback.
Enextad.
I think they finished dead last in the Big Ten West, which is saying something because Illinois is not going to be good. But they have 3 home games to start out the season against New Mexico State, who played and got just whooped by Wyoming last week. Then Fresno State and then Miami of Ohio, so they could conceivably win all 3 of those. But then I could honestly say they're going to lose out.
I have them starting off 4-0 and then losing out.
You have them winning at Maryland. That's
I do.
week 4.
I do.
I think they win their first 3 and then lose out.
I have him go 4-0. Flex just rowing the boat. He's got his oar.
Yeah.
The whole crowd's pumped up in Minnesota. Lose the next 8. Flex on the hot seat going into next year.
Yeah.
For how much he's getting paid, can't do that.
Getting paid a lot of money.
Rutgers, Buckers.
But I was just about to say,
coming off
Buckers beating
4-8 season last year, which they embarrassingly beat Illinois and Purdue. I have them
blew
win.
out Illinois.
I have them winning 3 games, all in the non-conference, not winning a conference game.
Do they win at Kansas?
Yes, Kansas coach gets fired mid-year.
What's the point of even having a football coach? Seriously?
They have a good new facility now.
They do, but will it draw any?
No. I haven't beaten Texas State, winning at Kansas, beating Buffalo.
I think they lose
And
at
losing,
Kansas.
losing out in the Big Ten, and I don't know about Chris Ash's future.
I think they beat Illinois at home. I think they beat Indiana at home. I'm going 4-8, maybe
Okay.
5-7,
Okay.
because they have a lot of home games. It's
I know.
weird.
And it is a weird place to play.
Yeah, not many people show up.
It is. And Sheldon Coleman, I saw, added that Nebraska defense should be stout.
Should be
fellas.
really good.
They should be good. Like I said, I think Scott Frost got turned them around pretty quickly.
Quickly.
But 7-5 would be a big jump from what they were last year. All right, that brings us to the Irish. I know we got some Irish fans watching. They announced last week that Brandon Wimbush is going to be the QB. You remember he was replaced last year in the bowl game against LSU, so they thought there might be a quarterback competition going on. Dexter Williams is their running back. Drew Tranquill's the captain of their defense, linebacker. Seems like he's been there 100 years. Chase Claypool is a wide receiver, dynamic playmaker. Ali's Max, tight end. Trayvon Cooley's linebacker. Julian Love's cornerback. I mean, they're loaded. They're just loaded. Good offensive line, even though they lost 2 top 10 NFL picks in Quentin Nelson and the other guy's name's McGlinchey.
McGlinchey.
Something like that. Is Kelly safe no matter what?
I think they have to win at least 9 games, don't you think? Because I don't think 8-4 is
Eight's right on the border.
Yeah,
it's not acceptable up in South Bend, but I think their schedule's easier than it has been in a long time.
You think that every single year, though?
I had them going.
I'm gonna call you out
I had
on
them going 8-4 last year on the previous show. You had them going 6-6.
I did have them going 6-6.
I'm calling you back out.
Yeah.
But this year, they're coming off a 9-3 year last year, which they beat LSU in the Citrus Bowl. Their only losses was a close home loss to Georgia. At Miami, they got waxed, and then at Stanford.
Turnover chain, bro.
Then at Stanford, your Hurricanes. I honestly see Notre Dame going 10-2.
I have them at 9-3, losing at home to Stanford,
I have them winning. I have them winning all home games.
losing at Virginia Tech,
I have that as a loss as well.
losing at USC.
I have that as a loss as
Although
well.
USC has named a true freshman quarterback as their starter, but by week 12, could be a whole different story.
Yep.
Watch out for that Northwestern game at Northwestern, although it'll be 90% Notre Dame fans there, so it'll be a home game.
Northwestern got them last time they played. It was in Notre Dame with a guy named Trevor Simeon as their quarterback.
Team money win.
Had his best college game of his career, throwing over 300 yards. 10-2. If they go 10-2 like I'm predicting, does that get them in a New Year's Six bowl? I think it does.
Based
I don't
on
think it gets them in the playoffs.
No, it doesn't get them in the playoffs, but based on name recognition, they're probably in a New Year's Six bowl doing that. They start under the lights, NBC, 7:30 Eastern, against Michigan on Saturday. Michigan announced their top receiver will be out at least 4 weeks with a foot fracture. Give me a prediction.
Notre Dame's a 1-point favorite. I think Notre Dame wins. I'm going to go 27-17.
This will be the J-Man's Book It prediction of the week. Notre Dame will win their opener against Michigan.
I heard you going to say that.
I will be rooting against them. Sorry, all Notre Dame fans. And speaking of big Notre Dame fan, What was I going with? J-Man's Booker Prediction of the Week. That's what I just did. It's sponsored by Indiana Farm Bureau Insurance Agent Trav is watching for all your insurance needs. Contact Trav. I'm sure he'll be...
He's watching right now, looks like. Hey, Travis.
Hey, Travis. He will be watching the Notre Dame game. Wouldn't be surprised if he actually somehow scores tickets and is there.
Yeah, and I don't say this. He said he's proud to support that prediction. I don't say this very often. I literally only say it when they play IU or Notre Dame. But go blue.
Go blue.
Go blue. I'm sorry. I can't root for Notre Dame. The only team, like I said in the start of the show, that I could root for Notre Dame over would be Indiana, and that wouldn't be by much. It's just the thing I grew up with.
Week 2, they play Ball State. So if Ball State somehow wins, a lot of Notre Dame fans will be, I'm a Ball State grad.
Good majority of them will have
my
Ball
team
State
won this
shirts
week.
ready just in case. But
if Ball State keeps that within 50, it's a win for them.
Yeah, you're not kidding. All right, you want to go over some national stuff, and then we'll go over some predictions? Who is your Heisman favorite?
There's a lot of good talent out there, obviously. Khalil Tate, we've mentioned him. Bryce Love from Stanford had a great year last year, in for over 2,000.
Will Greer is a popular pick.
From West Virginia. Transferred from Florida. Just think if they would have him because their quarterback play has been so terrible.
Dan Mullen will turn him around.
I agree. Jonathan Taylor.
Jake
Fromm out in Georgia.
Dwayne Haskins?
Dwayne Haskins, maybe. Who is starting for Alabama? Has that been named? Is it Hurts or is it the Tuiasosopo
it's him.
or something like
who
that?
knows what we're going to get out of him? He played phenomenal off the bench in the championship, but he's never started.
Yeah, so who knows?
Yeah.
But my favorite right now, Bryce Love. I liked Bryce Love last year, and now I love Bryce Love.
Loves Bryce Love.
Bryce Love.
I like Bryce Love a lot as well, but I'm going with Jonathan Taylor.
JT, huh?
He joins Rondang as a
it.
Wisconsin running back, and joins a handful of sophomores.
Give us your playoff prediction.
Knew this was coming. I can't stand them, like I've said this podcast, but I have Ohio State going 11-1 and then winning the Big Ten over Wisconsin again. I have them in the playoff. I have Clemson in the playoff. I have Georgia in the playoff.
You're taking my 3 teams. I hope you don't choose the next
Well,
one.
I think it will come down to the Georgia-Alabama rematch in the regular season.
They are 2, 3, and 4 in the AP Top 25.
Oh, I got to think of one.
You actually did not take all 3 of my teams.
I'm thinking of another team. I don't think anybody in the Pac-12. I think Washington will be really good.
They are ranked 6th.
Who we got in the Big 12 that's supposed to be really good?
Oklahoma's ranked 7th. That could just be because of how they were last year.
Baker was a big because of that. Ah, man.
TCU's 16th. West Virginia's 17th.
Can Mark Richt get them going again?
Will a non-Power 5 be in contention?
Watch out for Boise State. They are my surprise team
They're
this year to watch
22nd.
out for. I think they can run the table.
Central Florida is 21st.
I'm going to throw in, I didn't think, I'll throw in Washington. I think they round it out.
I have Clemson, Georgia, Wisconsin, and I'm just looking at the AP Top 25.
Tough.
It's really tough. Watch out for Auburn.
I know.
Jake Stidham
It's a
is
big
really
game
good.
week 1, though, that we're going to get to here.
Yeah. Man, that's a tough one. Stanford. Just throwing it. Just making a crazy prediction.
Okay.
I think Stanford.
I've always liked Stanford. Brian Shaw's a heck of a coach.
We did have a question. Which team that is ranked, I think this is a question, will disappoint, and which team do you think will be better than people
Yeah,
are
and we have
talking about
a
them?
few other questions to get to. I think Boise State will surprise. I don't think many people are talking about them. Their head coach is in his 5th year now, taking over for what Chris Peterson laid the foundation there before he went to Washington. I think they're ready to dominate on the Smurf turf again. Team that's going to disappoint, Texas. They always disappoint. They're ranked, I think, about 22nd or 23rd. I think they'll struggle again, and heat's going to be on. Herman.
I think Michigan State is a sleeper to get in the playoff. I think their schedule sets up to where if they win the Big Ten championship, they could possibly get in. Team that could disappoint, Texas, LSU. They're kind of a classic
Coach O
examples.
could be on the hot seat quick.
He should have been fired probably last year, and I anticipate him being fired this year. We have a question
We
from
have 2 questions.
one from Sheldon Coleman.
Yep.
He said, would Notre Dame have a greater chance to make the playoff if they joined the conference? And if they did, what conference should or would they join? I think they would have a greater chance.
I do too.
You saw what they did to the Big 12. Now, does the Big 12 have a championship game now?
Yeah.
Okay, before they had the championship game, they left TCU out.
That's why they.
And that's why I think Notre Dame would have a greater chance. Now, as for...
I would like them to join the Big Ten. I've always wanted them to,
Right.
but I think they would join the ACC because they
that's
already
where-
play 5 ACC games a year,
Right.
and the rest of their sports are
Yeah.
ACC.
So
Except
I-
hockey is Big Ten.
Yeah, I was going to say ACC as well.
ACC. Travis Watchering, like we said, is the J-Man's Book of Prediction of the Week sponsor every week. He said, JT is my Heisman prediction, going to be behind arguably the best O-line in college football.
Yeah, that offensive line out there in Wisconsin is massive.
Yeah, no, that's why I picked them. Where do they get those guys? I think they clone them.
Well, their best offensive lineman was down to Illinois and Wisconsin, and he was a quarterback. And he went to Wisconsin to play tight end, bulked up, and now he's a projected first-round pick. I do not remember his name. I can see his face, though.
All right, now let's get to some Week 1 predictions, shall we?
Sure.
And then we'll wrap this thing up, barring some more questions coming in. All right, we'll start off with the Big Ten. We kind of already went over our season predictions, so this should be pretty quick. Northwestern Purdue, Thursday night.
I picked Purdue, I believe.
I'm going with the Boilers, 30-24. So they cover that 2.5-point spread. New Mexico State at Minnesota.
Minnesota. Rowing the boat.
PJ Fleck thinks he's going to win the national championship after this game. Minnesota in a cakewalk. Utah State at Michigan State.
Michigan State, large.
Do they cover the 23.5-point spread?
I say yes.
I agree, Michigan State. Wisconsin hosting Western Kentucky. Wisconsin's a 35.5-point favorite.
I think they cover fairly easily.
Yeah, Wisconsin steamrolls them.
Jonathan Taylor gets 7 carries, 162 yards, and 4 touchdowns in the first half.
That's a prediction right off the top of your head. Kent State Golden Flashes travel to Champaign to take on the Illini. The Illini are 16.5-point favorites.
I'm surprised that wasn't a pick'em game. I think Illinois wins something like 31-13.
I'll say Illinois wins, but they win by 2 touchdowns, 14
That's
points.
fair.
Texas, ranked 23rd, goes at Maryland to start the year. Maryland went down to Texas and beat them week 1 last year. Texas is a 13-point favorite on the road.
Hook 'em. Run, Malcolm, run.
Yep, I think Texas wins and they cover. Oregon State Beavers are going to Columbus, where they're not going to be very happy playing without their head coach, Urban Meyer. Buckeyes are 38.5-point favorites over against another Power 5 team.
I honestly think it'll be something like 66-4. Oregon State's going to get 2 safeties.
They got a new coach this year.
Who is it? It's not Gary. Gary Anderson was canned. I couldn't tell you, man.
Ohio State wins, but they don't cover.
Yeah.
Texas State at Rutgers. Rutgers 16.5-point favorite. Rutgers wins and covers.
Same.
Northern Illinois is at Iowa. Northern Illinois is a 10-point dog on the road. They won at Nebraska last year, so this team is not afraid to play on the road in the Big Ten.
Give me Iowa cover.
I agree. Appalachian State is going at the road to number 10 Penn State. Penn State's 24-point favorite. Don't sleep on the Mountaineers. You know what they did at the Big House back in 07.
Give me Penn State to cover.
I agree.
Oregon State's football coach, his name is Jonathan Smith. He was the co-offensive coordinator at Washington.
All right.
He played quarterback at Oregon State from 98 to 2001.
Indiana's a 10.5-point favorite on the road at FIU.
I think Indiana wins by 9.
I think Indiana wins, but they don't cover because that's a dangerous little place to play. Michigan at Notre Dame. Notre Dame is a 1-point favorite.
Notre Dame by 6.
Notre Dame by 10. So I think the Irish got a good start there. And Akron at Nebraska. Nebraska's 24.5-point favorite.
Nebraska by 24. Don't cover.
Yeah, I don't think Nebraska covers that either, but I do think they win. Now we'll go top 25 games, and then we'll wrap this up, barring any questions that comes in. Thursday night, number 21 UCF is 23-point favorites on the road against UConn.
Central Florida large. UConn is a trash program.
They are. And they made a BCS bowl a handful of years
Crazy,
ago.
man.
San Diego State at Stanford. Stanford's only a 14.5-point favorite.
Go Trees.
Yeah, I think Stanford wins. Bryce Love runs for 180 yards. Florida Atlantic, Lane Kiffin's Florida Atlantic, travels to Oklahoma. Oklahoma's a 21-point favorite.
Oklahoma by around 24.
Yeah, I think Oklahoma covers. I read who's replacing Baker this year, and I don't remember who it is.
Is it the guy who was drafted by the Oakland Athletics in the first round this year, Kyler Murray?
Yes, it is. That's why he stayed back.
I can't believe the A's are letting him play football after giving him $3.5 million.
Southern University travels to at number 16 TCU. You didn't know how they were going to be this year. They're ranked 16th.
TCU by a lot.
Give me the Horned Frogs. There's no spread on the game. No spread on this one either. Furman at number 2 Clemson.
I think Furman keeps it close for about for maybe the 12:30 mark of the first half, and then Clemson runs away.
Sheldon Coleman said UCF, the national champions, right?
They made themselves rings, made a banner.
They made themselves T-shirts and everything. Yeah. Josh
Classic.
Heupel's their coach now. So, arguably the game of the weekend, number 6 Washington against number 9 Auburn.
Ooh.
I think it's at. Well, let's see if it's played.
I want to say
it's in Atlanta.
Oh, in Atlanta. Give me Auburn. SEC
Auburn's
country.
1.5 point favorite.
Really good team.
I picked the Huskies
Jarrett
to make
Stidham.
the playoffs, so I got to go with the Huskies.
Jarrett Stidham is my Heisman sleeper this year.
Well, the Huskies have the quarterback who's slipping my.
Jake Browning.
He's been there forever.
Yeah, he's 4-year starter
He's
now.
a Heisman sleeper.
Yep.
Austin P, the best chant sports when they chant "Let's go P." They go to Between the Hedges at number 3 Georgia.
Georgia by 1 million.
I agree. Interesting game here. Number 17 West Virginia, led by quarterback Will Grier, 10-point favorites on the road down in Knoxville at Tennessee, where I believe his name's Pruitt.
Yes.
Making his coaching debut, was a defensive coordinator at Alabama after that ridiculous coaching search.
I think West Virginia wins by like 3.
Yeah, I think that'll be a
Rocky
good game.
Top keeps her close.
I agree with that. UNLV at number 15 USC.
USC.
USC covers that. Number 22 Boise State, 10.5-point favorite on the road down in Troy.
Give me Boise
I
State.
think Boise-
DeMarcus Ware ain't walking out of that
No, he's
tunnel.
not. I think Boise covers that easily. Stephen F. Austin at number 18 Mississippi State.
Mississippi
coached
State.
by Moorhead, who was the offensive coordinator at Penn State. I think Mississippi State rolls in that one. Louisville, coming off an okay year. They lost Heisman winning quarterback from 2 years ago, Lamar Jackson, to the NFL.
Lamar.
They're 24.5-point underdogs in Orlando against number 1 Alabama.
Alabama, big. Cover.
I think Alabama wins, but they don't cover.
Bobby Petrino, scum.
Bowling Green is a 31.5-point underdog at number 24 Oregon.
Oregon.
I agree. Oregon rolls there. 2 more games left, the matchups, and then we'll see if we have any questions coming. If we don't, we'll be signing off this edition. But thanks to everyone who has joined in. We appreciate all the questions.
We're almost at the 50-minute mark.
Yes, we are. Your number 8 Miami, Florida Hurricanes are playing in Jerry's World in Arlington, Texas, against the number 25 ranked LSU Tigers.
Die you.
You know, I want to disagree with you, so I'm going with LSU.
How dare you?
I've agreed with you like on every pick. So LSU is a 3.5-point underdog to Miami. So you can put the U down
Nope.
anytime.
Keeping up the rest of the show, so hurry up.
Arms
are getting tired.
I'm going to milk this as long as I
Hurry
can
up.
now. The number 20 ranked Virginia Tech Hokies.
Give me Virginia Tech. Moving on.
Monday night, it is at Florida State. Number 20 Virginia Tech at 19 Florida State. Florida State's a 7.5-point favorite.
Really?
Yes.
Seems like Virginia Tech and Florida State play on the Monday night after the college football season starts about every year. Give me Virginia Tech.
I'm going with the Seminoles. New coach Willie Taggart. He's got his dream job down at Florida State as Jimbo left for the Texas A&M Aggies. Florida State
Tapping out.
quarterback that tore his ACL game 1 last year against Alabama is back and ready to go. They announced today.
It was
Francois.
I was going to say it's a Frenchman's name.
Francois. So, yeah. I think that's going to do it for episode 93 of the Tan and J Man Show and for this college football preview show. Thank you to everybody that's tuned in. We really appreciate it. If you haven't done so already, please like our Facebook page. Follow us on Twitter at Tan and J Man Show. Follow us on Instagram at The Tan and J Man Show. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. That's another easy way to listen to our podcast besides SoundCloud, iTunes, TuneIn Radio, Google Play. I typically put the audio version of the podcast up on YouTube as well. You can check out our website, thetannandjmanshow.com. And thank you to our weekly sponsors, the Fraunfelder Dental Clinic, Noble Gnome, and Indiana Farm Bureau Insurance Agent Travis Watring. And we will be back next Monday, same time, 7 o'clock, for a Facebook Live edition of our NFL preview show. So I hope you tune in for that. And besides that, thanks everybody for tuning in, and have a great week.